MacVoices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. Pay what you want and get $50 off your first job post at linkedin.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 of our 2-part discussion on MacVoices Live with featured guest Brett Terpstra and some of the MacVoices Live regulars. And we are in the middle of a discussion about subscriptions and why they are a good and not necessarily a good thing, depending on where you sit. So I'll get right back to the panel and Brett. David, you've been quiet. Where do you? Any thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, with the subscription services, I mean, I'm a subscriber to TextExpander. I mean, I think I agree with you. It's a great tool. I don't use it enough. I should use it more as far as the subscription model goes. Folks like Adobe, they kind of bother me more the way they go about their subscription services, just because of their just high costs and a lot of stuff. I mean, I understand,
and inflexible. They might be the worst offenders.
They're for sure. I think Microsoft has gotten a little better with their plans with Microsoft 365 and their products. I mean, I'm a subscriber for that, and I think they're being fair. I mean, I think their 5-user plan is like $89 a year, which I don't think is an unreasonable request, because you can go buy the software. That's what I would do for years with Microsoft. I would spend, $200-$300 to have a license for Office for one year, and then they upgrade it again, and then you got to pay for it again and again. So I mean, I saw what their point was, because you got to. I would use it a lot for a lot of things I would work on, but I agree. I mean, subscriptions do sometimes you get a bad taste of looking at them. But I mean, I see where TextExpander's point is, the way they're doing it, because there's a lot of what it's doing, and it's providing a good service. Because I'm like you said, you're using the version that's not a subscription, and it's working for you still. And I think, and I believe TextExpander is still allowing support of it. I don't know if they're still updating the app, but it's being fair.
To their credit, yes. I would not be offended at this point if it stopped working. I don't know how I date anything, but because that's my remaining holdout.
I mean, the same thing with 1Password. I have 1Password for families. I'm paying for that. I think that's a great service. And like I'm sure many of us on this panel with 1Password really like that product because of what it provides. I mean, I think it's just a great product. For years, I would just pay for a set license, and they're actually being very fair. They don't advertise it, but you still can buy a standalone version of 1Password, and you can still sync it to iCloud and have your own. And that was always the scary part of it, doing that, because that was the only backup you ever had was that file that would be backed up, whether it be on Dropbox or iCloud or wherever. So I see the points for some of these software companies having the options with the subscription model, and I participate. I mean, again, like to Chuck's point, I think it's got to be an app that you're using all the time. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be paying a subscription and look at it. Cameo, you had those folks on. I forget the name of the company. That does the Reincubate. Yeah, I see that that's a fair subscription, but I don't know if I would use that all the time, and I opted not to go with that, because I mean, the free version seems to provide enough of the services for. If you don't know what it is, it's doing video, turning your iPhone into a webcam. I have a tough time, having to have to fumble all the time to get my iPhone in a tripod to be my webcam, because I obviously don't want it to be like the cameras we're all using now, because it's sitting on that and that type of subscription. I don't know if I'd be a little more leery to do that.
I hadn't realized that was a subscription.
It can.
Interesting.
You have a free version. It has a fair amount of features. Like the subscription model provides, like if you have an 11 Pro, it'll access all the lenses and gives you more granular adjuststants. And
thought it was a $30 unlock, and then
it's $39.99 a year. Yeah.
Oh, per year. I didn't realize that.
And I see the point. And the only reason I brought that up is because another subscription type model. I mean, I'm sure their business model, they're seeing that people find the value in that particular product, because my God, the iPhone camera is amazing. And I saw when you interviewed those folks, the camera quality was just phenomenal. I mean, these webcams aren't bad, the Logitechs that many of us use, but yeah, you really can't beat the iPhone for being a webcam. That's for sure.
Yeah. Brittany, you bring up, and Brett, I'm anxious to see what you would say to this, because I've been a harsh critic of Adobe in the past. I'm much less so now because I don't know whether, maybe I finally got it. But they build software. They build seriously professional software.
Yes. And
while we all would like to believe that we are seriously professional in the graphics area, we are not. And we don't need that. And I guarantee you, when I was using Photoshop or Illustrator, I was probably tapping about 10, 15, maybe 20% of what it can do. Maybe not even that. And yes, I resented, the way they were pricing things and how high the prices were. And then I came to realize two things happened. First of all, I came to understand a little bit more about where their market really was. And we also got some decent alternatives that were much more geared to my level of use. And so Adobe should charge whatever they need, because that's for people that are paying those subscriptions are making money with those subscriptions.
How much is Creative Studio now?
I don't even know, Brett, because I'm not a creative professional.
Because
I don't.
Like, I come from the days when Photoshop cost $600, and like, I worked professionally in graphic design, and I had access to it through my businesses, and I would pirate it for my own needs.
A lot of us did.
And
I was young.
Well, $600 was just out of the question, but for the industry I was working in, I needed it. So it was this horrible, I wasn't making enough to actually pay for it, but I needed it to make what I was making. And I felt like it was highway robbery at the time. Affinity, I don't know how much Adobe apps cost anymore, because Affinity has completely taken their place for me. And I'm very adept at Photoshop, and I can do everything I did in Photoshop, I can do in Affinity Photo. And I'm very happy there. If I recall, the subscription rate for the Creative Studio, which got you like InDesign and Illustrator and Photoshop, was actually far more affordable than the $600 per app that it was back when I needed it more. And if that's the case, yay. But it's still, you're right, Chuck, it's for a very specific audience. Unfortunately, a lot of people need some of what it can do, and they don't have access to it.
Yeah, if you want to get the whole all apps plan, it's $53 a month. And then they have individual, like Photoshop for Lightroom Photoshop for $10. And so they are breaking down some plans here. So, I mean, but still.
Information could be out of date. But at least at one point, it was my understanding that you could not pay for a month. It would be an amazing solution if you could pay for 1 month or 2 months. But I think they made you pay for a whole year, but they just broke it down by month. Anyway, I was like, I don't need this to recharge me every year. I have one project I need to do, and then I'm done. Because you're right. Like, Chuck, I'm not the ongoing creative professional who's doing that kind of stuff all the time, but I occasionally have a project here or there, which is why for video, I went with Final Cut.
Which is not an inexpensive app.
No, although I did still have an edu email address at the time.
Well, that's okay. I mean, but even now, it's still not ridiculous. It's just, it's
what, 300?
But I don't have to worry about feeling like I'm using it enough per year. As long as it will still run on my computer, I don't have to have the latest version. I don't care.
That's how I am with Motion. Motion was worth it to me. For the little bit that I use it, it was worth it to own and know that I can do something else with it next year. And I'm not going to be dinged for that $200 or $300 again. Like, it's a great app. It's powerful. I love what it can do. I'm not using it every month.
See, there's the thing. You're willing to pay $300 for it to use it once or twice a year.
Yeah.
But if they slapped a $5 per month subscription on it, you'd be screaming bloody murder.
I don't know that I would at $5 a month. I could quickly do that math and say that would take 3 years to cost more. And it would prompt me at $5 a month, it would prompt me to use it more than I do, but it wouldn't be a deal killer for me. $40 a month, I would have to bow out.
Right.
The monthly ones make me crazy because they're more brain space. Like, Apple feels the need to send me every month to tell me what my iCloud storage is because they can't charge me for a year.
Yeah.
I don't even care if it's less for the year. Just only tell me about it once a year and go away. I mean, it is more brain space. Like, and if you miss once, I don't know, like, and then you have to remember, oh, right, am I actively still using this? I don't know. Am I? I mean, if there's a utility, I won't try it if it's a subscription. I have purchased utilities just because I was stoked to try it one time and I didn't have to worry about being charged on an ongoing basis.
I mean, and you also bring up, Apple obviously just announced Apple One, their plan with all the bundled apps, and those are complete subscription fee, $29.95 a month, and all of those apps that they include. I'm not a gamer; I could care less about arcade, and I think that is a pretty good value if you want News Plus and all the other stuff. I mean, even if you break it down into the family plan. And you can upgrade to the bigger iCloud, but getting 2 terabytes of iCloud space. I think you now can actually upgrade it to 4 terabytes. I didn't even know that as a special addition to the app, the one plan. So yeah, look at Apple. They dove into the subscription world too. I mean, that's really what it is.
Well, they drug everyone else
and they
there.
kind of drug anybody into it. Yeah, exactly.
By not doing trials, by not doing lots of other things, by making that the way to go. Yeah. They have brought us largely to where we are right now.
Okay, so it sounds like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because
when I heard about that meeting they called with developers, I was so livid. Just so livid.
But we all know that one thing that so many subscriptions rely on, and magazines. I mean, let's go back to the magazine days when they send you a subscription card, and I definitely want this, so I'll sign up for another year. You didn't keep track of it, and so pretty soon you've got 20 years worth of subscription that you've paid for, but they're still sending you the cards, or they sign you up for subscription services that what's just a little bit on your bill, you pay it automatically and you forget about it, and if you don't review your credit card bill carefully, then that's free money for them.
Yeah.
So so I admire Brittany, I know what you're saying. I admire Apple for the fact that every month they remind me that I'm paying for iCloud, that I'm paying for Apple Music. I
just want them to let me have the option to not do it every month.
Not do
it once a year.
I used to work for AOL, and
I have post AOL disorder, whatever.
A non-trivial amount of their income came from old people who forgot they paid for America Online back when you got those discs in the mail.
Yeah.
And people that they stopped using it, but they didn't realize they were paying for it, and it just kept digging their cards every month for 80 years, however long it's been now. So there's something to be said for avidly keeping track of all those subscriptions.
Well,
and it's not easy.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, I mean, this falls squarely into the personal responsibility realm as far as I'm concerned, because you have to take control of your life. You can't be, you can gripe about it, but 1 minute Brittany wants to be told, and I'm picking on you, Brittany. 1 minute Brittany wants to be told what the new features are each month, and the next minute she doesn't want to be reminded or bothered.
What I'm saying is Smile has not given me a good reason to give them more money. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I don't know it. Maybe I'm missing something great. But it is the reason I haven't thought twice about it, because I don't even know what I would be missing. But no, you're right, it's responsibility. And I think the decision should come at the start. The decision is when I first try to make it, and I'm going to make the choice that this is how I'm going to continue to live. I know I can't manage a lot of fiddly details because my brain doesn't like them. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to not have as many fiddly details in my life as I can possibly get away with. And if I'm going to add in a subscription, it's going to be something that is going to be a net gain for my cognitive resources. The iCloud storage was a no-brainer for me because, oh wait, I'm not having to manually sync my photos anymore. Done. Because that was a net win for my brain.
Okay, so
Personal management doesn't mean I have to manage the things ongoing. It means I need to make a really good choice at the start.
Well, to a point, but but that's going to preclude you from becoming a customer of Brett's if he says, "Yeah, you can buy a bunch subscription for a year," and you look at it and say,
"Bunch wasn't the subscription, though, right?"
This is an example.
It is now.
Yeah,
that's right. He's officially announcing it.
Yes, right here. No, but
there are exceptions. But if you're not my number one, my number two, or my number three, you get bumped off that list when something else comes along.
Okay,
well, Drafts is on the list because I cannot live without Drafts. He has become that invaluable.
Are you saying that you only have 3 subscriptions at any given moment?
Oh, that was a little bit extreme. But if you only count my personal ones, not my business, I think I have 5.
Okay. This edition of MacVoices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Make your next great hire with LinkedIn Jobs. Fall colors, leaves on the ground, and budgets on the boardroom table are all sure signs that we are headed toward the end of the year. That means you're in the middle of evaluating and reevaluating your business's needs, and especially your team member needs. When you need to make that next great hire to take your company to the next level, you need to look at LinkedIn Jobs. They help you by matching your needs to the most qualified candidates. Everyone in business uses LinkedIn. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. LinkedIn has over 690 million members worldwide. That means you are drawing from what is almost certainly the largest talent pool on the planet. And what's even better is that you can do all your posting, evaluating of candidates, and communications right from your mobile device. That makes the whole process both more convenient and more efficient. So, when your business is ready to make that next hire, find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/MacVoices. Again, that's linkedin.com/MacVoices to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for their support of MacVoices.
I can't imagine living in 2020 with only 5 subscriptions.
I don't listen to streaming music. I don't.
Well, listen.
Like I said, I'm the weird one here, and I know that.
Well, but here's the other thing now, and I'm trying to get into the habit of this. If I sign up for anything, whether it's a limited time or give us your credit card and try it free for 30 days and cancel before then, I can say, "Hey, S lady, remind me 28 days from now to look at this subscription." And guess what? She does.
Yeah,
and it's that simple.
I can understand from a certain point of view how it could be that simple, except I work with the people all the time that get the reminder and it's still reminding them for 60 days later and they haven't done it.
Yeah. Well, that's a neuroatypical problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Chuck, you're one of the few people I get to talk to every week that's neurotypical. It's a short list.
Thank you, I think.
Wow.
My goal has always been just to make enough money that I don't have to pay attention to my subscriptions. It's money management for ADHD, bipolar people. You just make enough money that you don't have to worry about it.
Brett, which subscription? Serious question though. When you say that, which subscriptions are you talking about? Are you talking about the ones that are bringing money in, or the ones that are sending money out?
The ones that are sending money out.
Okay,
that's me with my credit cards on auto payment.
Right. Yeah, I don't
for the full balance.
If I'm going to live in this world where everything is a subscription, I don't have the brain space to go through my credit card at the end of the month and say, yes, I'm still using this. Yes, I'm still using this. Yes, I'm still using this. There are services like Truebill that do a good job of letting me know if a subscription changes or if my spending habits change. And that's about as much energy as I can allocate for that type of thing. Remembering to cancel subscriptions. I get reminders that remind me to look at a subscription, and I'll usually go, what? Cancel that. I don't even remember setting that reminder, which is great. But there are things that I'll use for a couple months and then forget about. And I wish I didn't have to worry about it. I do have to worry about it. Setting $5 a month out for something that I'm never going to touch again is a horrible waste. And
Yeah.
I wish there were easier ways to manage that, but it is what it is. I feel like I don't get a lot of choice in the world we live in. Apple made a bunch of decisions for us.
Yeah.
I just subscribe.
Well, to bring this full circle and to sort of touch on something you asked earlier, Brett, I don't know that I've gained any wisdom, but I've seen an awful lot of really interesting models about, we think of subscriptions as just, okay, $5 a month and that's it. But there are folks, David mentioned Camo, that are giving you a limited subset of the features, and they may be good enough. But if you want the really advanced features, you do that. There's some developers I worry about because I really want their product to stick around, and they don't do paid upgrades. They can't in many cases, but they have no other way to recoup additional monies for the development of their product ongoing. And sooner or later, somebody's going to say, why am I doing this when I'm not getting paid for it?
Right.
And
that's where Marked is right now. Like Marked version 2 is called Marked 2 because it was the only way I could charge people when I rewrote the app from the ground up. I had to give it a new name so that I could charge people to upgrade through the Mac App Store. And now Mark 2.6 is out, and 2.5 should have been a 3.0, but it was too much hassle to go through getting tens of thousands of customers to decide, yes, this is worth buying another version, or am I going to support the old version for people who refuse to pay for the new version? And there's no good upgrade path there. So I'm left making, I put updates out at least once a month for Marked, and I make zero extra money from the thousands of customers it already has. And that's frustrating.
It's brutal. It's really awful.
Well, and that's exactly why the subscription models started to become popular and make sense. Every time
that's why paid upgrades started, and Apple chose not to go that path.
Yeah, and I tell you, every time, and I'm sure I'll get them too. And so, folks, if you're out there, if it makes you feel better to leave a comment on Facebook or email me or whatever, go right ahead. But I get, and that's their opinion, and that's fine. But they say, I will never subscribe to anything. I will only purchase.
That's what my mom says.
And I get it. But I'm worried. And there are two other things I want to hit here before we run out of time. The first one is that we've talked about this on MacVoices. The Scan Snap scanner that is over my whichever shoulder it is, was obsolete a little while ago until they decided to update the driver, and then suddenly it came back. They distributed that driver for free. Hey, I would have paid significant money to have that driver written for me to keep from having to buy a whole new scanner. So that's another challenge here, because not only does it affect software, it affects hardware. Brett, you and Jeff Gammon and I were on one of the first calls, I think, with SetApp when we interviewed their CEO, and we're just learning the SetApp model. And if I remember correctly, you have or had apps on SetApp.
I do, yeah.
And I respect the crap out of what they do, because they are at the very least making it simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
good point.
They are making it simpler and like an easier thing to track. And yes, they are, by great strategy, and it should be applauded, like making themselves invaluable, right? You want to you really want to be the one that somebody keeps paying the subscription for because it's invaluable, not because they forgot.
Yeah.
Yes. Brett, how do you feel about the SetApp model? Because that's a bundled thing that they're selling. And if it still holds true the way it was explained originally, the more people that use your app more of the time, the more of your monthly subscription that goes to you.
Yeah, my profits from SetApp have gone up almost every single month since it started.
That's great news.
It's continually increasing, not by huge leaps and bounds, but it's going up, not down. And it's worth it to me to keep putting out updates to those users. And the more they use my app on a day-to-day basis, the more I make. And I think it's a great... I think the value of SetApp, the number of useful apps in there, is easily worth the subscription price.
Yep.
And as a developer, I can say it's worth it to be there. So I think it's a good system.
I didn't even realize. Are you getting paid every time the app gets used, or?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's great. See, I've learned something new, and I'm a real happy SetApp customer. I think
Which
it's
is
just
to
a great
say,
model.
if you are a SetApp subscriber and you own some of the apps in SetApp, delete the apps that you own and run the SetApp version so the developer gets paid when you use the app.
All right. I better start launching your Mark II. I have it installed right now. I'll keep opening it a few times for you. Just kidding.
Well, I actually just checked because I was like, I haven't been writing a lot in Markdown on my computer. So I was like, which version of Mark do I even have? And I haven't opened it in a good while. And it's 2. So yeah, you're due for a big upgrade, man.
Yeah. No, it's been years.
Brett, you make an interesting point, though. Because it's sort of like affiliate sales. You know, we have affiliate links here at MacVoices. If you buy through the affiliate link, it doesn't cost you any more money, but you are helping support the show. Yeah. And the same thing there. It's not costing you or SetApp any more money. It's not costing SetApp any more money. It's not costing the user any more money because you're already subscribed. It's just slicing the pie a little bit differently.
So if you search my blog for So You Got SetApp, and it will give you a script that will, actually, if you just search Google for So You Got SetApp, it'll give you a link to a script that will check your computer for any applications that you have installed that you could be running off of SetApp, and give you a good idea like where you can switch. All you have to do is just delete the original version, and then from then on, whenever you launch it, you get the exact same app. And the cool thing about SetApp is all features are unlocked. So if you're using an app that you would have to pay like 2 different tiers for, on SetApp, you automatically get the top tier. All features have to be unlocked to be on SetApp. So you get the full version of the app. And yeah, like you said, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't change the way you work. You're just making sure the developer gets paid.
I absolutely love SetApp. I'm a subscriber for life. Right? I just you got so many great applications on that service, including yours, of course. And it's just a service that it's invaluable. It really is to have that many valuable apps available to you. And there's some that I use like every day. I mean, there's a News Explorer I use for reading news every day for my podcast. I mean, I'm constantly using that app. I think there's just so many others that are out there that are on SetApp. Just highly recommend.
Well, and the other thing too, and we're praising SetApp highly here, but I think it's deserved. They don't just sign anybody up.
Right.
They sign up good, high quality services. They maintain them, and they're always looking for new. And sometimes something will drop off, for whatever reason, but they also monitor that. I can think of one in particular that I won't name that disappeared from SetApp because the developer wasn't keeping it up. And when it started to break, then SetApp said, no, you're gone, because that could theoretically, it could have been used. Maybe, I don't know exactly how SetApp works, but I would guess theoretically that could have been used to game the system, because I'm still opening it, hoping one day it'll open and work. Is that sending the money to SetApp? Yeah. Or excuse me, is that sending the money to that developer? If it is, that's really not fair, because the app is not working properly.
Right.
So, but SetApp stays on top of that. They dropped them out of the store.
Hey, and then I got real excited. They expanded to iOS too, so now they have apps in iOS in there. So
Yeah, how's that going?
Well,
How does that work?
That
so
seems
far there's
sketchy.
10 apps in there. So
I'm surprised Apple hasn't clamped on that loophole yet.
I am too. Because the way it loads, it side loads.
Yeah.
Oh, it does side loady stuff?
Of sorts, yes.
Of sorts, like a QR code.
That sounds pretty sidey.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like something. It seemed like something that as soon as Apple was aware of it, they would clamp down on it, but they haven't.
They must be okay with it,
or they are actually making a good PR choice.
Or it's so much under the radar right now that it's not relevant.
Well, they did launch this right around the time of the Fortnite Epic.
Well, and
deal.
I mean, you're talking about like the people who love SetApp are often like all in Apple people. Like you would be, that seems like
it's also
a poor
probably
choice.
not such a huge contingent.
As opposed to 14-year-olds who don't choose what device they get anyway.
Right.
Good point. Guys, this has been a fast hour. I looked up the clock. It's like, how did that happen? Man.
This has been forever.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Brett. Are we
boring you?
Are you ready to go to sleep? Hey, thanks for being here, though. That you sort of spurred this conversation, and I appreciate it because I think it was a good one. That's the beauty of these live shows. We never know exactly where things are going to go. So I don't know, folks, we'd love to know what you think about subscriptions and the various opinions expressed around the table here. Please drop me an email, chuck@macvoices.com, or of course you can drop it in the conversations, YouTube, Vimeo, or reach us on Twitter or whatever. I'd be very interested. I know some of you hate subscriptions. Yes, you don't need to bother to tell me that. I know that. But if you have something other than that, tell me, let us know. Around the table so folks know where they can find you. Brett, you're up first.
BrettTerpstra.com is my central location for everything. I'm TT Scoff on all social services. And both of my podcasts are back now, so you can find Systematic at systematicpod.com and Overtired at overtiredpod.com.
Yay. And if you use Brett's bunch or anything else that he provides, send him a donation.
There's a donate link on the webpage. You'll see it.
That's only fair. Brett, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
David?
Yes, you can find me at intouchwithios.com, my podcast, and talk about a lot of great things there. Check that out. And you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65.
Perfect. Thanks for coming, David, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Brittany?
Is the strategic choice this week to maybe abstain and not get extra people telling me all about my thoughts on subscriptions?
Make sure you copy Brittany on everything you send to me.
Yeah.
Just to drive her crazy.
Because I don't have lots of feels about my inbox at all. I'm ADD Liberator on Twitter, and my website is conquer.consulting.
And you do a set of YouTube tips, and I'll have a link in the show notes for you.
Great new ones I just saw too.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices Live. We try to do this every Tuesday night. You can do what Brittany and David did. Just join in, and I post the credentials for the Zoom room just a few minutes before showtime and during the show. And if you just want to hang out and chat, that's fine. Or just watch quietly and yell at us without us knowing you're yelling at us. That's fine too. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.
How much does a pirate charge for corn?
I don't know.
What?
Buccaneer.
Oh boy.
You're welcome.
Oh boy.
See, this is what happens when you keep me up past my bedtime.
Wait, let me turn the stream back on. I want to broadcast that one.